Have you ever wondered why a prince who had everything, wealth, power, pleasure, would abandon it all to sit beneath a tree? And why, 2,500 years later, his revolutionary discovery continues to transform millions of lives across the globe? There's a reason the Buddha's most powerful teaching has endured through centuries, transcending cultures and speaking directly to the heart of human experience. Today, we're embarking on an extraordinary journey into the essence of Buddha's wisdom, not as distant philosophy, but as living truth that can revolutionize your experience of life itself. Like a master key that unlocks every door, this teaching illuminates the path from suffering to liberation, from confusion to clarity, from inner turmoil to unshakable peace. Whether you're a spiritual seeker, someone struggling with life's challenges, or simply curious about ancient wisdom, what you're about to discover will transform how you see yourself and your place in the universe. This isn't just another spiritual lecture. It's a practical roadmap to the deepest freedom human beings can experience. Imagine standing at a crossroads in ancient India, where two paths stretch before you. One leads to a palace filled with endless pleasures and indulgences. The other winds toward a forest where ascetics torture their bodies in search of liberation. This was the very choice that confronted Siddhartha Gautama, the man who would become the Buddha, as he sought the truth of human existence. Picture a young prince, draped in the finest silks, surrounded by every imaginable pleasure. Yet, despite this golden cage of luxury, something gnawed at his heart, an existential hunger that no worldly comfort could satisfy. This was Siddhartha's life before his great renunciation, a life that many of us might secretly envy. But like a bird in a jeweled cage, he recognized that comfort alone couldn't answer the deepest questions of existence. So he chose the opposite extreme. 6 years of severe asceticism in the forests of ancient India. Picture him sitting in meditation, his body wasted to skin and bones, surviving on a single grain of rice per day. He tortured his body, believing that by subduing the flesh, he could liberate the spirit. Many of his fellow seekers died pursuing this path, their bodies broken by extreme practices. Siddhartha himself nearly perished, until a young girl offered him a bowl of rice milk, and with it, a profound realization. This was the genesis of the middle path, a revolutionary understanding that would transform the spiritual landscape of humanity. Like a master musician finding perfect tension in a string, neither too tight nor too loose, the Buddha discovered that the path to enlightenment lies in balance. Think of it as navigating a boat. Lean too far to either side and you'll capsize, but maintain perfect equilibrium and you can traverse the deepest waters. The middle path isn't about compromise or taking the easy way out. Rather, it's about profound wisdom that recognizes the interconnected nature of body, mind, and spirit. Imagine trying to play a beautiful melody on a piano. You need both the black and white keys, working in harmony. Similarly, the middle path teaches us to embrace all aspects of our humanity while maintaining wise discernment. In our modern context, this teaching becomes ever more relevant. We oscillate between extremes, workaholism and burnout, mindless consumption and harsh deprivation, digital overwhelm and isolation. The middle path offers a sanctuary of balance in our chaotic world. It teaches us that we don't need to become spiritual acrobats or deny our human nature to find freedom. Consider how this applies to your daily life. When you're stressed, do you swing between numbing distraction and harsh self-criticism? The middle path suggests a different approach. Mindful awareness balanced with gentle compassion. When facing life's challenges, instead of either suppressing emotions or being overwhelmed by them, we learn to acknowledge them with equanimity. This teaching revolutionizes our approach to spiritual practice itself. No need for extreme retreats or dramatic renunciations, though these might have their place. Instead, we're invited to find the sacred in the ordinary, to transform our daily activities into opportunities for awakening. Like a skilled chef who knows exactly how much spice to add, we learn to season our lives with wisdom. The Buddha's discovery of the middle path wasn't just a personal revelation. It was a gift to humanity, showing us that liberation isn't found in extremes, but in the exquisite balance of being fully, authentically human. It's a path that doesn't reject either the mundane or the transcendent, but weaves them together in a dance of awakened living. How does this understanding of the middle path resonate with your own journey? Can you see areas in your life where finding balance might lead to greater freedom and peace? Would you like me to clarify any aspects of this teaching before we move into exploring the Four Noble Truths? Remember, the middle path isn't about reaching some perfect state of balance, but about developing the wisdom to navigate life's ever-changing currents with grace and awareness. As we continue our journey, we'll discover how this foundational understanding opens the door to Buddha's most profound insights about the nature of human suffering and the path to its end. Imagine standing in a hospital of the soul, where the greatest physician who ever lived is about to share his diagnosis of the human condition. Like a doctor who must first understand the illness before prescribing the cure, the Buddha crystallized his enlightenment into four penetrating insights that would become known as the Four Noble Truths. These aren't mere philosophical concepts. They're a precise medical chart for the heart's deepest ailment. Picture yourself sitting in the deer park at Sarnath, where these truths were first unveiled. The air is thick with anticipation as the Buddha, his eyes filled with infinite compassion, begins to unravel the mystery of human suffering. His first 5 disciples lean forward, their hearts resonating with a teaching that would echo through millennia. The first noble truth, dukkha, lands like a thunderbolt of recognition. Life contains suffering, not just the obvious pain of illness, aging, and death, but a subtle undercurrent of unsatisfactoriness that flows beneath even our happiest moments. It's like having an elegant feast laid before you, yet feeling a mysterious hunger that no delicacy can satisfy. Think of how even your most cherished experiences carry a whisper of impermanence, a hidden thorn of knowing they cannot last. But the Buddha doesn't leave us in despair. Like a master detective, he reveals the second noble truth, samudaya, the cause of our suffering. It's not life itself that creates our anguish, but our relationship to it. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. This is how our desires and attachments operate. We chase pleasant experiences, run from unpleasant ones, and try to freeze beautiful moments in time, creating a web of craving that keeps us bound to suffering. The third noble truth, nirodha, arrives like the first ray of dawn after a long night. There is an end to suffering. Imagine a prisoner discovering that their cell door has been unlocked all along. The Buddha declares that liberation is possible, not through acquiring more, but through releasing our desperate grip on experience. This isn't about becoming cold or detached, but about finding a freedom so profound that it can fully embrace life without being enslaved by it. Then comes the fourth noble truth, magga, the noble Eightfold Path. Like a master cartographer, the Buddha doesn't just show us the destination. He provides a detailed map to reach it. This isn't a path of harsh renunciation or superhuman feats, but a gradual training that transforms every aspect of our lives into an opportunity for awakening. It's as if each step we take, mindfully and with understanding, rings a bell of freedom that resonates through our entire being. These truths work together like the movements of a symphony. The first truth acknowledges our condition with unflinching honesty. The second reveals its hidden mechanics. The third offers hope and direction. And the fourth provides practical tools for transformation. Together, they form what the Buddha called the medicine for all ills. Consider how these truths might illuminate your own life. When anxiety arises, can you recognize it as the first truth in action? When you find yourself caught in cycles of craving or aversion, can you see the second truth operating? Each moment of letting go, of coming home to the present, is the third truth manifesting. And every conscious choice to live with greater awareness and compassion is the fourth truth coming alive. But here's what makes these truths truly noble. They're not merely intellectual concepts, but invitations to direct experience, like a scientist's hypothesis that must be tested in the laboratory of your own life. These truths reveal their power only through investigation and practice. How do these four noble truths resonate with your own experience of life? Can you recall moments where you've glimpsed their truth in your own journey? Would you like to explore any aspect of these teachings more deeply before we venture into the Noble Eightfold Path? Remember, understanding these truths is like learning to read the operating manual of human existence. As we continue our exploration, we'll discover how the Noble Eightfold Path transforms these insights into a practical framework for living with wisdom and grace. Imagine standing before an ancient temple with 8 magnificent doorways, each threshold glowing with its own unique light. This is the Noble Eightfold Path, but it's not just a sequence of spiritual practices. It's a living mandala of awakening, where each aspect flows into and enriches the others. Like a master weaver's loom, these 8 threads intertwine to create the fabric of an enlightened life. Picture yourself at the first doorway, right view. This isn't merely about adopting new beliefs. It's about seeing reality with fresh eyes. Like a person who has lived their entire life in a dimly lit room suddenly stepping into sunlight, right view illuminates the true nature of existence. It's the difference between seeing a rope in the darkness and mistaking it for a snake versus seeing it clearly for what it is. This clarity becomes the foundation for all that follows. Right intention flows naturally from this clear seeing, like a river finding its natural course. Imagine a compass needle that, once freed from interference, automatically points north. When we see clearly, our intentions naturally align with truth, compassion, and freedom. It's not about forcing yourself to be good, but about allowing your natural wisdom to guide your choices. Moving through the temple, we encounter right speech. Words are like seeds that we plant in the garden of consciousness. They can grow into flowers of understanding or weeds of confusion. Think of how a single thoughtful word can heal a relationship, while a careless one can create wounds that last years. The Buddha taught that mindful speech should be like honey, sweet, nourishing, and offered at the right moment. Right action emerges as the natural expression of wisdom in the world. Like a master dancer whose every movement flows with grace and purpose, our actions become aligned with the deepest truths we've discovered. It's not about following rules, but about expressing our understanding through every gesture of our lives. Even washing dishes becomes a dance of awakening when infused with presence and care. In right livelihood, we discover how to make our work in the world an expression of our highest values. Imagine an artist whose every brushstroke carries their complete presence and sincerity. Whether you're a teacher, a gardener, or a business person, your work becomes a vehicle for spreading awareness and compassion in the world. Right effort teaches us the art of balanced energy. Like a skilled musician who knows exactly how much pressure to apply to each string, we learn to apply just the right amount of energy to our practice. Too much striving creates tension, too little leads to stagnation. The middle way reveals itself in the perfect balance of engagement and ease. Right mindfulness opens the door to living fully in the present moment. Picture a mirror that simply reflects whatever appears before it, without judgment or attachment. Our awareness becomes like this mirror, clear and receptive to each moment's teaching. Whether walking, talking, or simply breathing, every experience becomes an opportunity for awakening. Finally, right concentration reveals the power of a focused mind. Like a magnifying glass that can focus sunlight to create fire, a concentrated mind can penetrate to the heart of reality. Through meditation, we develop the stability and clarity to see deeply into the nature of existence. But here's the profound beauty of the Eightfold Path. It's not linear but cyclical. Each aspect strengthens and deepens the others. Right view leads to right intention, which refines our view further. Right speech affects our actions, which in turn influence our livelihood. It's a spiral of awakening, each turn bringing us closer to the freedom the Buddha discovered. Think of it as learning to play a complex musical instrument. At first, we practice each element separately: finger positions, breathing, rhythm. But eventually, they merge into one flowing symphony. Similarly, the 8 aspects of the path gradually merge into one integrated way of being. How does this practical approach to spiritual development resonate with your own journey? Can you see how these different aspects might work together in your daily life? Would you like to explore any particular aspect more deeply before we move into understanding Buddha's enlightenment experience? Remember, the Eightfold Path isn't about achieving perfection, but about engaging in a process of continuous unfolding. As we continue our exploration, we'll discover how Buddha's own enlightenment experience illuminates the ultimate flowering of these practices. Picture a moonlit night in ancient India. Beneath a tree that would become legendary, a man sits motionless, his determination as solid as the earth beneath him, his mind about to pierce the deepest mysteries of existence. This is Siddhartha Gautama's final night of seeking, though he doesn't know it yet. Like a master jeweler preparing to cut a priceless diamond, he's gathered all his wisdom, concentration, and courage for one ultimate breakthrough. Imagine being there on that profound night under the Bodhi tree. The air is thick with possibility, crickets sing their eternal song, and a solitary figure sits with an unwavering resolution: let my flesh dry up, let my blood run cold, but I will not move from this spot until I understand the truth that will free all beings from suffering. This wasn't just determination. It was love so vast it would transform the world. As the evening stars wheel overhead, Mara, the personification of delusion, launches his final assault. Picture waves of terror, desire, and doubt crashing against the shore of Siddhartha's consciousness. But like a mountain unmoved by storms, he remains steady, anchored in unshakable presence. When Mara demands to know who gives him the right to seek enlightenment, Siddhartha simply touches the earth, calling it to witness countless lifetimes of preparation for this moment. Then, as the morning star rises like a jewel in the dawn sky, something extraordinary happens. Layer after layer of reality begins to unfold before his purified awareness. First comes the remembrance of countless past lives, flowing like a great river through time. Imagine seeing your entire evolutionary journey, every joy and sorrow, every triumph and mistake, all contributing to this moment of awakening. In the second watch of the night, his vision expands beyond personal history to perceive the vast web of cause and effect governing all existence. Like watching an infinite cosmic dance, he sees beings rising and falling through different realms according to their actions, the precise law of karma operating with perfect clarity. But it's in the final watch of the night that the ultimate breakthrough occurs. As the first rays of dawn paint the sky, Siddhartha's consciousness penetrates to the very heart of suffering and its cessation. He sees that what we call the self is like a rainbow, beautiful yet without solid existence. All phenomena, he realizes, are like dewdrops in the morning sun, sparkling yet ephemeral. This isn't mere philosophical insight. It's direct perception of reality so profound it transforms the very foundation of consciousness. Imagine the walls of a prison you've lived in your whole life suddenly dissolving, revealing they were made of nothing but thought. This is enlightenment, not gaining something new, but recognizing what has always been true. In that moment, Siddhartha becomes the Buddha, the awakened one. For 7 days, he sits in the bliss of liberation, absorbing the implications of what he's discovered. Picture a person who has climbed the highest mountain peak, gazing out over endless horizons never before seen by human eyes. The perspective is so vast it takes time to comprehend. But here's what makes this story truly extraordinary. The Buddha realizes that this awakening is not his alone. Like discovering a path through what was thought to be an impassable mountain range, he sees that others can follow in his footsteps. The path he mapped, the middle way, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, are like trail markers leading to the same summit of liberation. What does this ancient story mean for us today? Consider how the Buddha's night of enlightenment mirrors our own journey of awakening. We too face our maras, our doubts, fears, and attachments. We too must find the courage to sit with our experience until truth reveals itself. And like the Buddha, our awakening is never for ourselves alone, but contributes to the liberation of all beings. How does this story of transformation resonate with your own spiritual journey? Can you recall moments of breakthrough in your own life, when reality suddenly revealed itself in a new way? Would you like to explore any aspect of the Buddha's enlightenment more deeply before we move into understanding how he shared these teachings with the world? Remember, the Buddha's enlightenment isn't just a historical event. It's a possibility that lives within each moment of awareness. As we continue, we'll discover how his compassionate teachings make this profound realization accessible to all. Imagine the first rays of dawn breaking over the deer park at Sarnath, where a small group of seekers gathers to hear something unprecedented in human history. The Buddha, freshly awakened from his enlightenment experience, stands at a pivotal moment. Like someone who has discovered an endless wellspring in a parched desert, he faces the profound challenge of sharing water that cannot be contained in any vessel of words. Picture this extraordinary moment when infinite wisdom must find its way into finite language. The Buddha, whose consciousness now spans the boundless realms of reality, must build a bridge between the unconditioned and the conditioned, between timeless truth and time-bound human understanding. It's like trying to describe the taste of honey to someone who has never experienced sweetness. Yet with boundless compassion, he begins. His first teaching emerges like a master key that unlocks every door of spiritual understanding. Rather than beginning with abstract philosophy or demanding ritual, he starts with the universal experience of suffering. Like a skilled physician who knows that healing begins with acknowledging pain, the Buddha meets humanity exactly where we live, in our struggles, our confusion, our deepest longing for freedom. What makes his approach revolutionary is its profound practicality. Instead of offering metaphysical speculations about the nature of the universe, he presents direct methods for transforming consciousness. Imagine a master craftsman who, instead of lecturing about the theory of carpentry, places tools in your hands and guides you through the actual process of building. This is the Buddha's way, experiential, immediate, and transformative. His compassion shows itself not just in what he teaches, but in how he teaches. To the intellectually inclined, he offers precise philosophical analysis. To the devotionally oriented, he reveals paths of heart-centered practice. To the practically minded, he provides concrete methods for transformation. Like a skilled musician who can play the same melody in different keys to suit various instruments, the Buddha adapts the Dharma to resonate with different temperaments and levels of understanding. Consider his famous teaching to the Kalamas, who were confused by competing spiritual claims. Instead of demanding blind faith, he encourages them to investigate, to test, to verify through direct experience. Don't believe something just because I say it, he tells them. Try it for yourself, like testing gold in fire. This radical empiricism revolutionizes spiritual teaching, placing the authority for truth not in external sources, but in direct personal realization. The Buddha's compassion extends even to those who oppose him. When his cousin Devadatta attempts to harm him through various schemes, the Buddha responds not with anger, but with steady wisdom and compassion. It's like watching a master martial artist who doesn't need to attack because they understand the deeper principles of movement and balance. His response teaches us that true wisdom naturally expresses itself as compassion. Perhaps most remarkably, the Buddha teaches that awakening isn't reserved for special beings or particular circumstances. Like discovering that gold exists in every stream, he reveals that the potential for enlightenment lives within every heart. His democratic vision of spirituality challenges the hierarchical religious structures of his time, declaring that what matters is not birth or social status, but the sincere cultivation of wisdom and compassion. His 45 years of teaching become a masterclass in skillful means. Whether speaking to kings or peasants, scholars or children, he finds ways to make the deepest truths accessible without diluting their power. It's like watching a master translator who can convey subtle poetry in multiple languages while preserving its essential beauty. How does this understanding of the Buddha's teaching methods illuminate your own path of learning and growth? Can you see how his approach might guide your own sharing of wisdom with others? Would you like to explore any particular aspect of his teaching style before we move to our conclusion? Remember, the Buddha's compassionate teachings aren't just historical artifacts. They're living instructions for awakening, as relevant today as they were 2,500 years ago. As we prepare to conclude our exploration, we'll discover how these ancient teachings speak directly to our modern search for meaning and freedom. Like a master weaver drawing together threads of gold and silk into a tapestry of awakening, we've journeyed through the heart of Buddha's most transformative teaching. From the revolutionary balance of the middle path to the profound depths of enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree, each aspect reveals another facet of this timeless diamond of wisdom. Picture yourself now, standing at the threshold of your own transformation. The same moon that witnessed Buddha's awakening shines on your path. The same breath that carried his first teaching still moves through your body. The same potential for liberation sparkles in your consciousness like morning dew catching the first light of dawn. This isn't just ancient history we've explored, it's a living invitation. The middle path still offers its perfect balance between extremes. The Four Noble Truths still illuminate the landscape of human experience. The Eightfold Path still unfolds like a flower of awakening, petal by precious petal. And the compassion that moved the Buddha to share his realization still flows like an endless river through time, reaching us here now, in this precious moment of possibility. If these teachings have touched your heart, let them find expression in your life. Share this video with others seeking wisdom. Subscribe to join our community of seekers and practitioners. But most importantly, take these insights into the laboratory of your own experience. For as the Buddha himself taught, the true measure of wisdom lies not in understanding words, but in transforming life itself.